Sunday, 2 p.m. Time for He Said, She Said.
Enjoy your Sunday with Wanda B and the He Said, She Said team on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartStation.
Time for He Said, She Said.
Let's get it started.
Hey, it's me, Wanda B, and you are tuned in to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. It is Sunday. It is fun day. I really do. This is like one of my favorite days of the week. I have two favorite days. Wednesday, I don't know why I like Wednesday. I guess because it's hump day, and then I like Sunday, even though I don't go to anybody's job. I still feel like I love this day. So today we're going to have a couple topics. One topic I don't have written there that I'll be bringing up shortly. And then I will introduce, though, my fabulous in-studio guest. I also have a guest calling in, but our fabulous in-studio guest today is my little brother. Yes, I call him my little brother, and he's far from little. He has a daughter going to Northwestern tomorrow. She will be going on campus for the first time. My little baby, my niece, but he's still my baby brother, Garrick Davis. Yay. And then no other than Toria, Coach T, we also call her, is coming in today. She's also a host here at Intellectual Radio, Empowering Moments with Coach T, which is the third Sunday of every month. She's on our Fun Day Sunday coming up this January. So you got to check her out. And we're talking about our topics today. So you guys are always welcome, however you tune in to Intellectual Radio and to our show. Hello, Ernest, chime in. We're going to have you in. I'm just introducing you guys. In fact, let me introduce you right off because you're right here on the phone. We also have Ernest Tuckett. Hello, Ernest.
Woo.
Yes.
Hey, Wanda. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Now, there is also a connection with Ernest and my dear baby brother. They went to Georgetown together.
Boy, it's Saxa, baby.
Talking to the microphone.
What's up, G?
Boy, it's Saxa, baby.
Happy New Year.
Pull it closer to you. So they are also. You had a nickname for my little brother. What did you tell me you used to call him? He may not want this. I think it was many. Simple.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
There were many. None suitable for intellectual radio. Help me.
Okay, we won't bring that up. So
They're
they were
intellectual.
they went to Georgetown together. So it's just funny how the circle of life, or what they said, that 7 degrees of separation, how that works. Because I met Ernest totally independent of my brother, and then found out they knew each other. So that's so cool. And Ernest is going to represent the he's. Toria and I are going to represent the she's today on Intellectual Radio. Girl power. As we talk about the sole purpose of He Said, She Said was founded, created for the purpose of helping men and women communicate better, to have healthy relationships, build healthy relationships, encourage healthy relationships. But one way to do that is to understand each other. And a lot of times you need to hear from the opposite sex to understand where they're coming from. I don't believe women can think like a man. I know Steve Harvey has put that out there, but I don't believe that's quite possible for us necessarily to do that. So we can empathize, we can hear where they're coming from, but to really get their perspective, I think we actually need the man to give us their perspectives on things. So that's why the he's are here, and we'll represent the she's. So first off, we're going to talk about just a fun topic before we dive into the main subject for today, because that one's kind of heavy. I don't know, maybe it won't be heavy. We could keep it light. But you guys share the broadcast for me. I so appreciate that. And then you're always welcome to, on Facebook, add your comments. We'll be reading your comments. Chime in if you like. Tell us your experiences with this. So Toria brought up a topic that she wanted to kind of bring up and have us discuss. I'm going to get to it. Of course, me and my Facebook, my computer, every week, y'all know how my computer operates. She likes to get real confused and figure out, like, what? You want me to do what? Pull up what? So I'm going to get to what that topic is. And thank you guys for chiming in. Like I said, I so appreciate it. And it's coming. Toria, do you remember what it was?
It's in my inbox.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm trying to get to. Facebook I'm here now. So the topic we are going to talk about first is rapper Slim Thug Now, I'm going to just be honest. I should have looked this up before the show who Slim Thug is, but I don't think that really matters for the point of the discussion. Rapper Slim.
He's the slimmer of the thugs.
He's the slim one.
I mean, you don't know
he's
either.
not Fat Joe. He's Slim Thug.
Love it.
So rapper Slim Thug accuses Sierra of being with Russell Wilson. I can read with Russell Wilson for financial stability. Says a woman who talked to Future doesn't want. He says a woman who talked to Future doesn't want a Russell Wilson. Am I fix that?
So basically, what he is saying is, if you were ever interested in a man like Future, then you definitely cannot be interested in a man like Russell Wilson, which I beg to differ.
Okay, so she's saying that absolutely isn't your type, and you know you just with him
basically,
for his money.
So now you're just about the money.
You not with Slim Thugs and Futures, and then turn around and go
and then turn around. Now
Wilson.
You want to mess with he makes it seem like you can't decide that you want to make a different choice. Like you can't decide that, okay, you know what? That is kind of sexy to me. I could, treat me right. That's sexy. I get attracted to that.
Ernest, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't Future have money?
Well, yeah, that's true. So if she wanted financial...
Right, so if she could have stayed with Future if she was just after money.
If it was just for money.
That's a very good point, that Future was not right. If it was just about financial stability and that's why she's with Russell, then she had that with Future, I think. Well, I don't know. Does he... Maybe he doesn't share the money. I don't know. But she has her own money, I think, too, right?
She does have her own money. I think that people look at it and say, okay, well, you sold out because now you don't want a brother. You don't want a rough brother now. You don't want the thug brother no more. You want this, so
clean selling brother. Out is going with the clean brother.
Hey, that's how a rapper view it.
Really?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I mean, I hate to use a sort of male chauvinistic kind of analogy here, but you know how men have often said over generations and since the type of woman you marry, type of woman you date, and type of woman you whatever, right? And so I don't want to use that in a sexist kind of a way, but flipping it, I think when somebody gets to a certain point in their lives and their certain age, maybe even after making certain mistakes, they realize that there's a certain type of person that they need to be with if they're trying to be serious about a family. If they want somebody raising their kids in the event they die and they're not around to finish raising their kids, who do you want? What parent do you want raising those kids if you can't do it yourself? And who's that's one point I would make is, people have to make different choices for different stages of their life. But number two, I don't have a type when it comes to women. And that doesn't mean that I like every woman. It just means I don't have one particular type that I go for. And whether it's physical traits or even sometimes station in life. And I think a lot of women very much are the same way. I mean, you have some things that appeal to you in different types of men. And therefore, she could be just as attracted to Russell as she was to Future, even how different they are. Just like I could like a really tall woman who went to graduate school and love a short woman who, went on and got to trade school and has a great career. And, who's to say what somebody can be attracted to? And, I think just judging your type based on one person you dated, I mean, you can't just lock her in and say she only likes a guy like a Future. Right. Because that's just limiting her. Just because she fell in love with him doesn't mean that's the only type of person she might like.
I agree. And then it also makes me think of the term that has been used in the past, like women don't like nice guys, or the nice guy finishes last, or women want a thug, women prefer the bad guy rather. That whole silly saying that women prefer bad guys, that could be some of what they're alluding to with this.
Oh, because he's supposed to be so mysterious. Oh my God, it's so much mystery in the bad guy. He's a protector. Blah 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 blah. And the list goes on. Like somebody nice and sweet can't still be a protector. I done seen some real nice people get out there and put a hurting on somebody. Okay, I didn't seen it happen.
You know what? I would say three things about this. For starters, Sierra, I mean, if you're lucky enough to be in her orbit as a potential, I'm sure she's your type. Okay. So there's that. Whatever your type was, if Sierra's like interested in you, well, then I'm that type that day. Probably. So there's that.
Exactly.
There's that. But then secondly, these are not unknown people. So if Russell Wilson decided that Sierra was his type, well, then he would know at some level what the relationship was, even just through pop culture and media, what went wrong or how the relationship worked between she and Future. It would know how to play this differently.
Hello.
If he were interested in her, and he obviously was. And then lastly, Sierra probably got to a point in her life where she wanted to do what she's doing, which is raise a family. And wanted somebody who was of that cloth, of that milieu. And you can do a lot worse than Russell Wilson if you want to be raising a family, So it could be what it looks like, which is he was the right guy for her for what she wanted, and they live happily ever after. Oh,
what she wanted as far as not financially, but the type who wants a family. It's obvious. I think Future has a few baby mamas since there.
And that's really attractive.
Right. You want people to be on this. You want to be on the same page with someone about what your goals are and what your future looks like. And if they don't fit within that, then it's time to move on. And so what? Because you end up with the guy that was not likely for people to think that you would be with. That has no bearing on. Don't nobody know who she dated before she was ever with Future. Do we know who she was dating before she became a celebrity? Because she was probably dating real, regular, nice guys. Don't nobody know that part.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, I can be attracted to whoever I want to be attracted to based on the demonstration that they give me relative to what I say I want to need.
Isn't it interesting, though, that people care that much, especially whoever this Slim Thug is? Why does he care?
He's like, man, because he wasn't next, okay?
He probably tried to talk to Sierra.
Right,
and she
he got
ignored
snubbed.
him.
That's all that is.
He was the past.
Yeah.
His future past.
Hater. Right. Hater.
I've got a theory. I got a theory on why. I mean, I don't follow culture that closely, but I have heard about there being a lot of beef with where Future has had a bad attitude about the fact that Sierra, I don't know whether it's because she didn't want to stay with him or whether people are comparing her man now to the way Future treated her in the past. I don't know for sure why, but there's been some beef, at least on the internet, about Future feeling some kind of way. And I think, guys like Future and I assume Slim Thug, based on his name, which means he wants to be a thug. He would think that women prefer thugs because that's the way he wants to see it. That's the way he wants to believe. Just
that's
like
because
Hollywood
he is
wants
one.
to believe. He wants to believe that every black woman prefers a thug because these are all the attributes of a thug. And sure, there's plenty of women out there that like a thug. And there's plenty of thugs out there for them to like.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Sierra likes who she is with, who she's with, and people often want to make it about them. So Sierra dates a guy that reminds Slim Thug of himself, and then turns around and dates a guy
that does
who's
not
like the guys he used to bully in high school or something. And then all of a sudden, she can't possibly want him, but for his money, forgetting the fact that this dude has a whole life. He's an athlete. He's all these great, wonderful things. Just because he never was in a gang, don't mean he doesn't have anything to appeal for him. I remember a guy years ago. I was probably in my late 20s, probably early 30s, and I was at church and we were in Bible class, and this woman liked me. So this guy who, he was a good guy and all that, but he had come from a more rough background, and I grew up poor too. So shoot, it wasn't. But he had gotten engaged in a lot of stuff. So he was doing fine. Now he was doing his thing. So this woman liked me, and you could kind of tell we had a good connection. We talked at class, Bible class, whatever. And he started talking to this other guy. Yeah, well, maybe I'm going to go past the bar myself. Maybe I could get a woman. As if the only reason she was talking to me is because I was a lawyer. And it's like,
wow,
really? I had girlfriends before I became a lawyer. I mean, maybe it's like, all right, whatever,
Right.
And so, but, it's sort of like when something doesn't go the way you want it to go. And in this case, women are raving about Sierra. I mean, between, Sierra and Russell Wilson are goals, like relationship goals, right? That's how Black women are talking about Russell Wilson, the way he supports her and bigs her up, right?
Yes.
But they say
Right.
the same thing about Nipsey. They say the same thing about Jay, who used to be, a drug dealer. I mean, so it's not like you can't have guys from different backgrounds to big you up. I just think that Future and maybe this Slim Thug guy, when they hear people praise Russell, instead of hearing it being about Russell, they're hearing something about themselves and it's negative.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with you and then they try to find some reason to bring you down to their size, to make themselves feel better about the situation by finding something to what they feel will knock you down the size or where they want you to be. I think you mentioned something to this degree last week, or I think when you called in, I forgot how you worded it, but Ernest, but I totally understand what you're saying. I'm going to read some of the comments. James says the Irish Italians. Okay, you're going with the topic. I'm going to hold that till we get to that topic. Someone says Hugh is Future. Okay, yes. Yeah, this is the. Never mind. You want the man who pulls up his pants in public, right? Future Lady Rochelle from Warriors Talk Mondays at 6 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. I love my Intellectual Radio family. Says Future was just a season. Russell is more like a lifetime.
Yes, ma'am.
She dated Bow Wow, so and then Russell compliments her. Hello, Penny. And so I think you can change you like who you like when you like them. And then, like you say, if she had decided that she wants something different in life, maybe you need to choose differently.
Yes.
And so if you want to raise a family, and Future is very happy being a baby's daddy, very happy. And I do think Future sometimes, or at least I've read, gets somewhat envious of the relationship of Russell with his son.
With his son, definitely.
I'm sure he does.
He have a fit about that.
So I don't know what that's about, but I do think I think Ernest summed it up well, that people see they see that they internalize. People do this, I guess, with many topics. They internalize it and think it's saying something about them, and then they have something negative to say about it. So I think that's poor little Slim Thug.
Same difference. Same difference.
Slim Thug.
Same difference.
Okay.
I think that's more of his issue with
sorry.
it. So we are talking. So what we're going to talk about is this topic today that is there on the screen. Is multicultural diversity good for Blacks? And I'll tell you a little bit of history of where this conversation started. So I'm talking to my dear little brother who is in town. He lives in Maryland, and he is in town to bring his firstborn to Northwestern tomorrow. And so he says,
oh, wow.
Yes.
I know, Ernest. I'm officially getting old.
Man.
So his firstborn, my beautiful niece, my favorite niece in the whole entire world, will be going on campus for the first time in Northwestern tomorrow. So he's in town, and he said, you know what? I could come by the show. And I'm like, okay, you're more than welcome. So I said, you have something you want to talk about? And he said, well, something's been bothering me. Can I read exactly what you wrote or no?
Yes, I'm sure it's suitable.
Yes, it is suitable.
Of course.
So he says to me, I'm going to read the text that he sent. He says, here's something I've spent a lot of time with recently. Is all multicultural diversity good for Black relationships? If you watch commercials, the new diversity, in quotes, and progressive thinking regarding relationships is always a Black woman and a white man. Always. Geico, Progressive Insurance, Pfizer, Chevrolet, you name it. Meanwhile, in real life, my South suburban classmates is exactly the opposite. A viable Black man and whatever ordinary open-minded white woman that would have him. Like, whatever. It's a fraught topic, but I feel it's perfect for maybe 8 consecutive shows.
He got a lot to say.
He got a lot to say on that one.
Wow.
And so then he goes on to say, which is another topic as well. Oh, I didn't write the whole thing.
I was on a roll that night.
You were on a
looking
roll.
back on it. I'm like, wow.
Apparently.
Let me see if I can get to it, because you were definitely on a roll with. Can I get to the rest of this message? Probably not, because this wasn't on.
Well,
Yes,
he got that thing stuck in his craw, that's for sure. 'Cause he went clean, smooth in
he
about
said
it. Okay?
he's been. So I say to him, wait, I'll keep going. He says, I love it. So I said that absolutely would be a good topic. He said, I love progressive thinking, yet I despise the discounting of a black man as a viable partner. And I thought, you know what? That's a good topic. Are we really discounting is our black men in media, our black men portrayed in media in a way that discounts them as viable partners? So I'll go back to our group, he said, she said, and I told them that this would maybe a topic for tomorrow. Someone had posted a post of a woman in her 50s who had married this younger white man that, and everybody was saying, you know what, go for what is best for you, and that's perfect. And I said, oh, that kind of goes in line with what we're talking about today. And so I said, you know what, though? I think I've seen more commercials with black men with white women. So then my brother goes on to send me every commercial imaginable that shows opposite of that. So, okay. So he made me a believer. And
he brought the receipts.
He brought receipts. And I hadn't quite paid attention to actually commercials I watch on a continuous basis. The one with the clogging problem at Geico, and it's the cloggers, and I never even paid attention, and that goes to show how much you just start.
It's all over Hallmark too.
But
the new thing now in Hallmark is, you know, it's a lot of interracialness happening, and it's on both sides though. They do it. They mixing it all up together. Like it's beginning to be ridiculous. I mean.
And I didn't realize how much I had become desensitized to, like it was almost normal. That I hadn't even paid attention. I'm so busy laughing that the cloggers are actually doing clogging and dancing and stomping on their heads that I didn't even pay attention that was even a biracial couple.
Yep.
And then the other commercial he showed me, I was like, wow, I never even paid attention that was a biracial couple. Mm-hmm. And so it really, I thought to myself, is there something to be said here? So it became our topic for today.
I'm telling you, even on Hallmark, I was just watching a movie with Tia Mari, and she was with this guy, and she had the crush on a white guy. We were talking about Tia Mari, but in every other movie and every other show she's done, she's been with somebody black. It's always been black. Then she gets on Hallmark, and now her first high school crush is white. Sit down.
Well,
it bothered me that they decided that, okay, now we gotta really, really make it a thing. I'm like, calm down. She married to a black man. Well, what are we really doing here?
Yeah, I guess to put it in context, I wanted to have this discussion because I'm like, am I overthinking this? I know enough about marketing and political messaging and so on. That's more my world. Nothing in a significant ad campaign is done unintentionally or by accident. These things are focus grouped down to the apartment that these folks.
The colors
are in.
that are the whole coloring scheme of the whole thing is all thought out. Everything.
And I'm like, why is this a formula? And what is the point of it? It doesn't have to be nefarious. Hey, it's not about this. It maybe it has next to nothing to do with a black man as such. It probably, at some level, indirectly, maybe it's not that. But I just want to hear more thoughtful people kind of tease out, why is this a formula? Because it is very much a formula that, okay, here we want to sell this product. We want to sell Rocket Mortgage, or we want to sell Geico Insurance. And the couple you want to live next to, the couple that you want to have talk, and they always talk to you. If they're going to talk to you about the reason we chose Rocket Mortgage or the reason we chose Geico, if they're actually going to articulate something to you, it's this couple every time. And I'm like, what is this about?
So I'd love to hear your opinions. What do you guys think it's about? I love to please chime in, whether you're on Facebook, however you're tuning in. If you want to write a comment, go to Facebook. I'm Wanda B, like a bumblebee on Facebook, and give us your opinion. So Toussaint said it's on purpose and we're falling right into the trap. John says corporate America has decided to market women because it feels Black women are now getting purchasing power. And Two says it's not just biracial couples. There's a shift in the American populace. After 2005, white folk will no longer be the majority population. It shifts power.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm just wondering, why do I see the same couple every time I turn on my TV? You know, why is this the thing to sell to everyone now?
Yeah, I think, I've got a quick thought on it. I mean, I'm sensitive to the same things, interracial couples. And what's funny is I react to both types of interracial couples in three different ways. One, I'm happy to see it. And then because I have that in my family, I know plenty of my friends who are interracial couples, but then I'm also aware of the stereotypes about both Black men and Black women. And I see a Black couple and I'm like, well, they've got this great Black guy. So then he must be, why can't he be with, why can't it be like, everybody be like, this is us when he's with a great Black woman, right? But then you see the white Black woman with the white man, and then all of a sudden I'm reacting just like Garrett did. But I'm also reacting in a way that I naturally react beforehand, which is, this is nice to see on television. But I have to say that I think a lot of it has to do with marketing, just as I think Tucson was saying on the comments. I think it was Tucson. And I think it's because they want to get diversity. And if you want to get diversity in a commercial, you could either do like they used to do, the Black commercial, and then the white commercial, and then the whatever commercial. But in this case, they want to do one universal commercial. And so their decision is, well, let's have a biracial couple. And I do think there might be onto something here where he's talking about the marketing to Black women in general, right? A lot of marketing goes to women unless it's something to do specifically for men. And then when you think about about Black women, which interracial couple do you think they would be least bothered with, if you put it that way, or more bothered with? I think what they see in real life, at least Black women will tell you this, what they see in real life is a whole bunch of celebrities who are Black men who will cross over and date and marry white women. And so if you see that in a commercial, the focus groups might show you that for a good reason in many cases, or maybe not so good reason in other cases, that a number of Black women will be put off by seeing a good Black man is with a white woman, and almost have the same reaction Garrett was having, which is, aren't we good enough when a man makes it to, support us or what have you. So I think they could be balancing those two reactions and maybe saying, you know what, a lot of times, in a household, women are making the choices about a lot of these things. So we don't want to really tick off the Black women, whereas their focus group probably says for Black men, like, I don't get too bothered when I see a white man with a Black woman. I'm kind of like, good for the sister. She found somebody to love and she loves him and hope they're happy. But I do know for good reason that a lot of Black women are like, yeah, I'm really bothered by that Black man. They seem to abandon us and go be with white women. And so I think maybe the marketing teams are responding to that and don't want to step on that landmine.
That's one of the commercials I sent you. NyQuil.
Yeah, so
we don't see you.
Yeah, it is.
Garrett
I look up and
there's
the
a
commercials
TV
on.
on in the station,
so funny.
and Garrett points to the commercial and at the commercial as if we all can see this. So
It's
that's
a NyQuil
what threw us
commercial.
off. It's a NyQuil commercial. And who's on the NyQuil commercial? I don't see it.
It's
So
a Black woman with a white man,
a Black
right?
woman with a white man.
And they're basically their husband and wife, and she having an issue with her nose and whatever. But I get it though. I see what you're saying.
Where is my universal acceptance? It's not about them. It's about the fact that how come I can't sell to anybody in America? I could be on the Black commercial and there's congos and a gospel choir and all this other stuff. But if I'm going to sell to America, well, then I don't show up. The diversity is okay. She's acceptable,
but he's not.
He's not.
I want to make that clear because I think, Ernest, you brought up a point, and I want to bring that up. We're not knocking if you want to have an interracial relationship, that's perfectly fine. My family as well is very diverse. What my children's grandparents are not Black, so I'm not knocking this whatsoever of who wants to be with whom. We're asking more the question, why not the Black man being in these commercials portrayed the same way? Is there a reason why? And go ahead, Tori.
I want to say this
I'm sorry, I
because
think I cut you off.
no, it's
Forgive
okay.
me.
I want to say this because I think in a lot of situations now with what has been happening, especially in 2020 with the attack I feel on the Black man, period, because a lot of them have lost their lives for just stupid stuff. And it's not like, I know we like to say, well, women lost their lives too, but okay, let's look at the numbers though, because more Black men were cut off in this whole thing than it was women. Yes, it was a few women sprinkled in there, but it was more so men. And I think that when we look at it in that dynamic, it's like the world has kind of shown us that they don't want our Black men. And I think that we as Black women have kind of the desire for the Black man has kind of left a bad taste in our mouth, because in some instances, when he does get on his grind, because any other time when he down here below and under the bottom, he want a sister. Okay, yeah, I want a Black sister, hold me down, ride with me, ride or die, all that. Okay, but then when they get on their grind, they get their stuff together, they go choose someone who is not Black, like you ain't been riding with the sisters and they ain't been down for you the whole time. So I think that we have a bad taste in our mouth when it comes to a Black man, because we're waiting for him to appreciate the sister that then held him down. And they don't seem to be able to. And then we've seen a lot of these images where these men are having, it's not only that they're dating white women, but it's what they say when they do. They act like they didn't got a prize or a piece. Oh my goodness, I've arrived because I got a white girl. You sit there on these lives and you let your white girl talk about the Black girl like she ain't nothing and nobody, like you weren't just dating her 3 months before you met this chick. And so I think that because of all of that, I think that I agree. The marketing is now, I think they've picked up on that and they said, look, hey, they don't want these Black people, these Black men like this because they doing this thing. And so we are more comfortable when we see a white man with a Black woman, because I'm with Ernest. Yeah, we be like, okay, come on, sister, come through. Because guess what? These brothers been out here playing for a long time. And
you're agreeing with that, or you're saying that's what they're saying?
I'm saying that's what they're saying. I think I think that's the stigma. I think that's the feel. Okay. Overall feel. I'm not agreeing. I'm Black all day. I don't think I ain't got ready. I have not got attracted to pink lips yet. I'm still waiting on the day.
So, and I do think there's an actual validity to what you're saying, because then we posted in the group and someone who I absolutely, her opinion of things matters to me. She's been a part of on He Said, She Said more than once. And I value her opinion. She says, are they being discounted or are they discounting themselves? It's really a chicken versus the egg situation from my perspective. They don't value family and stability, but they also haven't been afforded the same opportunities as other men.
I agree 100% with her.
So I'm going to let the guys, because I don't know how to, I don't want to speak for this at the moment. I'm going to let why we have the he's here today to speak on that. What Toria said and what Anna Nicole Lacey said. I'm going to read some of the comments as you ponder how to respond. You too, Ernest.
I just missed. I missed what you said. They said. I'm sorry.
I'm going to read this again. So when I brought up the topic that are Black men being discounted as viable partners, and Anna Nicole Lacey, you know her.
Yeah, I know Anna. Yeah.
Yeah, and her response was, "Are they being discounted or are they discounting themselves?" It's really a chicken versus the egg situation from my perspective. They don't value family and stability, but they also haven't been afforded the same opportunities as other men.
I'll say this quickly. I think when we get into the collective sense of you gotta at some level articulate who they is, because I'm sure there's some validity to the to that thought. But I'm wondering again, what is Madison Avenue picking up on in this, and why have they made it formulaic that the formula to market to America now checks these boxes? I do think that, yeah, at the individual level, if it's about the man being marginalized or feeling marginalized, well, then that gets into each individual and what they're all about. I don't have that issue. My bona fides check out against anybody in America. So there's that. But at the same time, I'm still looking at this. It's not by accident that if you watch an hour of television, I'm a marketer's dream in that I watch the commercial, I laugh at the jokes, and I look at what's happening and this and that and the other. I get a lot out of these commercials, sometimes more so than the programming. But I'm like, why is this now this codified thing? And I'd almost love to sit in the focus group, because focus groups, they hold no cut cards. They're very direct, and they're like, hey, we can't do this. This doesn't sell. We won't do that. And this is what we want. And here's why we want it, because it resonates, with this demographic. And, we play this commercial in that zip code and so on and so forth. And I just want to hear more people, other than just kind of dancing around in my own head, tease that out. Like, why is this phenomenon? What are we watching? But I do understand that. And what does it mean? That's the second question. And, it's a valid one. But just the fact that it is interesting to me.
I'm going to read some of the comments. John says, also Black women are now achieving political power. It all makes sense. Penny says, one thing I've noticed on some commercials is an all-white cast, but Black artist music. Are they trying to subconsciously target both buying markets? Definitely could be. Oh, I was just talking about you, dear Anna Nicole Lacey. They are using the marriage stats for Black women against Black men. The Black woman is the fastest growing population in terms of education and entrepreneurs. So the power dynamics are shifting. Marketing toward the Black woman's fantasy of a family is good business. I think that she makes a point of when we talk about the focus groups. I think, unfortunately, for some, the Black man is almost feared. Not if you walking down the street, they go on the other side of the street. The Karens who call the cops on the man or the little boy who's thought to have stolen the phone. And so in order to make everybody feel good, don't portray him in this scene because you want to feel good. I want you to buy this product. So don't put him in this scene at all. And I don't know, It could be and could not be, but 2 says, whiteness isn't a race, it's an idea. Thus far, the only folk never allowed to reach that idea was us. Now that their reached peak population is now allowing sisters in, that minimizes not just Black men, but Black families. It's just marketing for product. It's marketing for a new lifestyle. The biggest threat to white power is Black families.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. If I'll jump in real quick on this, I think the one thing that we've got to keep in mind is that most of what you take away from a commercial or a TV show or anything is a lot of it is what we take away individually. But it's also what messages could be read into this by other people. And so I know when I look at things, I see, well, man, that's nice. I see that's nice. They have a Black woman, a professional with a white man, and it says some positive messages that, racial diversity, and it also says that love is blind and all these different things. But it also says, see, Black women are desirable. We've been trying to tell y'all that, and you're finally portraying them that way in a universal sense, not just in one sense or another, or in leaving them out completely. Although on the other hand, it then kind of gets some guys bent out of shape because it's like, well, Kamala's husband is white and Meghan Markle married the white prince. And it's just like, yeah, but what these black women are doing isn't necessarily about us. Now, I agree with Garrett. The black women aren't doing this. It's Madison Avenue that's doing this. So I'm not getting into that. I'm not trying to switch it to that topic, away from that topic. But the point is, our takeaway from this is there is a message being sent subliminally, consciously, subconsciously, that black men aren't present in some of these ads. But I think if we really want to take a look at what the larger society is saying about black people in general, men and women, we've got to take a holistic look at how are they including us in these commercials going forward. Because there's a lot of commercials that have nothing to do with a couple. And are we there at all is the question, right? Are the men there? Are the women there? When they have a workplace, when it's not a couple at the dinner table, when it's not a couple on a date, but it's at the workplace, or it's at the football game, or it's at the bar, or it's driving down the street in traffic, are we even there at all? Kind of like the Friends discussion. They're in New York City and ain't a black person on there other than a few, people who pop in and out every now and then. And they're in New York City. The whole servant class is black and Hispanic, and they have none of them showing. So I think the point is we should probably take a more holistic look and say, are they including us? And then how much are they including black men in and outside of the family context when it comes to general commercials? But I do agree with this one thing about Garrett that Garrett said is, I don't see too many universal commercials where a black family or even an interracial family is being used to sell. I still think by and large, you see black commercials, black couples on black shows and black channels. And then you see white couples selling, or white people selling universally. And I think they're trying to mix it up, and maybe that's why they're making interracial couples. Because you got to remember, Sidney Poitier holding some white woman's hand to sing a song together just 45, 50 years ago, maybe 60 years ago now, was a huge problem. So for them to go to the step of putting interracial couples on, it's really a big step forward. I don't want to give them a trophy or anything. I'm not trying to do that. But I do want to recognize that it's a big step forward.
I think it is. I would agree with that. I know that so much marketing, whether it's whatever it is, it's always about, do I see myself? Are they talking to me? And do I see myself as represented by these folks? And toward that end, I think that some of the comments where we talk about the growth in purchasing power and education status and so on within the demographic of black women, I got to believe that's in there. It's in the calculus somewhere. Yeah. To what extent, who knows? But I think that, yeah, there's a lot of women that would see themselves as, okay, I see myself in that. That's me. This couple is me, or this family is representative of what is either aspirational to me or what is already achieved by me. And if I'm sitting in that room with 30 other marketers and they're like, okay, here's our storyboard and we've got the couple, I'm like, you know what? That's great. But why don't we take somebody that looks like me and put it in the ad? The room would fall silent. And then you get that stilted, well, yeah, that could be a thought. Well, let's table that. But, let's go in the direction that does not do that, what you're suggesting. and I just want to play it out a little more as to why is this a formulaic thing that this is how we sell, and it includes her. It does not include him. Again and again and again and again and again.
So I'm going to read some of the comments. Two says, and I'll get back to you, Ernest. I don't know if I just cut you off. It's not just marketing for product. It's marketing for a new lifestyle. The biggest threat to white power is the black family. Then I read that one. Also, it's a lie to assume brothers have partaken in the whites. The percentages are like 7% men and 4% women date outside of our race. So when you mentioned we have to talk about
You
who
can't throw
they
out
is.
numbers and not
wanna know where the
have a
numbers
source.
came from.
Yeah.
Right. I want to know where the numbers came from.
All right,
U.S. Census. What, my cousin Larry?
Right. Please tell me where the numbers came from, because they seem kind of low to me. But okay.
I'll as we go forward, I'm gonna go see if I can find out where Tu got his percentages from. But I have heard that before, but I don't know the exact percentages. But I'm gonna go. Actually, we'll go. When you mentioned who is they when we have these discussions, Tu said they is black men. That's what the data says. It's not about being about feeling marginalized. It's about being marginalized. To have viable families, we need economics. And the data says we live in different Americas. So if black women desire security, then they won't be found with black men. So, and Anna Nicole Lacey said, absolutely true. They are marketing towards our desire to be desirable. That is a whole show on its own.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to get to liking these pink lips is what they're saying. I need to get to like a pink lip. It ain't happened yet. Sorry.
But I do think it's very similar to the conversation we started from in the beginning, that if you want a family like the Sierra,
you gotta choose.
And
Russell better
is almost as close to choosing the brother that's like the who type of person who wants to be married. So it's also kind of trying to push us in. You want this family, you want this, then this is what it'll take. And there are women who actually feel that way, though. So there are black women who do feel that way, that based on how the dating world has been going for them to actually find a husband, you may need to, if you're looking for a husband, because for some women that's their goal in life, and to find a husband, you will need to go outside of your race. And I'll read then what this girl posted. She is a matchmaker, and she says a 51-year-old black woman, world-renowned economist, just married a 46-year-old white male billionaire. When black women open their dating pool, not to exclude black men, but open their dating pool, you will find there are men who value your success and intelligence. Make 2021 the year that you go where you are loved and valued.
I can't find the lie. I cannot find the lie.
Why are they selling me NyQuil is what I'm asking. I have a singular focus in this, and it is why are they qualified to then sell me goods and services? Who you love, I think is super. I think that's great, and I agree with all of that. That's what
the world wants to see. Is what they trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you either one or two things. Either this is what they feel the world wants to see, or this is what they feel the world needs to see.
And I think it's a mixture of both.
And I think it's a mixture of both.
And I need you to buy NyQuil. So in the perfect world of desired situations, that includes NyQuil.
Hello, somebody. It includes insurance too with Geico. I'm just trying to tell you.
Now I'm going to take it one step further. All right. I'm married, black woman, black family. All right. So this notion that I don't exist. Let's say I went home tonight and burned it all down and went and found somebody. Let's say I follow the ethos of I want to be happy in my true self, and I go find somebody and it's all great, well-intentioned, and they don't look like me. I would be excoriated. Then I would exist for all the wrong reasons. Look at you, you're this, you're that, the other, and then you go do X and Y and Z. So I hear that. I think folks, they should be able to love who they find suitable and who treats them how they want to be treated. Right. I have no qualms with that. I'm simply saying, why is this particular situation, this particular circumstance, without putting numbers on it, because I don't have Census Bureau data to say it's 26.2 or 31.8 or, I don't know that. But why is this now captured as lightning in the bottle as the way to sell towards America universally? Whereas the other way is that if you're going to have the black man in it, well, then it's the black commercial. It's not the everybody commercial. I can do voiceovers. I can sell you Allstate, but if you're going to show me in the commercial,
Haysbert, honey,
it's going to be a black commercial.
And I don't.
Yeah, I've got a, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off where that was. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ernest.
No, I was to say, I think Toria and Wanda hit it on the head a minute ago, Garrick, in that when they said, I forget the exact phrase, but this is what I took away from what you guys said. We've got to remember that white people in general, especially folks who are in corporate America and in Madison Avenue and advertising and in Hollywood, they see racism as a very stilted concept. Most white people who will tell you that they're not racist will immediately do what? Point to a black friend.
Please, come on.
The fact that they dated a white woman. I'm dated a black woman or something, right? Or a black man. And we try to point out to them, no, the cop stopping me in the first place is the racism. The beating my ass, well, that just comes with it, right? Sorry.
Yes. Come on.
The beating my
That's
butt,
the bonus.
Come on, Ernest.
Right. So what they say though, what most white people who have never walked in our shoes will say is the epitome of someone who's not racist is when they will allow, and they may not use this word, but this is how I'm going to describe it, a white and a black to be together. Because see, our parents didn't even want us married and sitting at the same table. Look, you're at the table with us. But it's like, yeah, but we're not really there. What are you talking about? Well, the black family, as Garrick is saying, is excluded. Why can't the black family sell? Well, what are you talking about? We got somebody that looks like you, Garrick. She's right there.
Yeah,
She's got
thank
black
you.
skin. You got black skin. And you're saying, no, hold on, time out. I'm talking about someone who looks like me and who looks like me and my wife together.
Absolutely.
A black family, because the exclusion of the black person is a big deal. But the exclusion of the family is another layer of the same issue. And the exclusion of a black professional is another layer, right? You know, when the TV shows, when they finally had the black lawyer or the black doctor versus just the black janitor or the black, doorman or something like that. All of a sudden, it's subtleties. And I don't think most white people get the subtleties. They think it's just like in the diversity world, in the legal profession or corporate world, where you talk diversity, they just want to talk about, well, we've got an Asian and we've got a black and we've got a gay and we have one. And it just becomes a numbers game with them, and being in the room suggests that you're represented now or someone's represented, and they're happy with sort of nibbling around the edges and giving us a place. And so I think it's the lack of a deeper understanding of what all our community has been labeled as. Because once you show the interracial couple, then you're not glorifying the black family that we've been trying to tell you exists, that you've been leaving out. And so now we've got another issue that you've got to address. They're not quite ready. They're going to address what they will address. And I'm glad people like Garrick and others, hopefully some folks in that room, are raising some questions, because then you get a black couple like the one on A Million Little Things or in This Is Us or in other TV shows, where they are the epitome of a strong family and great parents and great professionals and business people. So hopefully more of that happens. But yeah, it seems like they just keep going back to the original playbook all the time. And the inclusion now is throw a black girl in there, throw a black guy in there, and that's it. And they don't think about the nuances and the layers of what they've done to us as a people for hundreds of years.
I agree with that. Yeah. So Toussaint said TV, marketing, social media, etc. It's all about reinforcing ideas. Whatever behavior we see repetitively, we mimic. This is a science, not opinion. Media normalizes behavior. And he also said perspective is important. I think it's a big step backwards. And he said, if I have to cite my sources, so do y'all. I don't think we gave any numbers, though, to cite, but we'll cite our sources. If you give out any percentages, guys, I want to know where you got it from. So then Gary Lynn Scott said, I'd say everyone enter an interracial relationship and have kids until both races, black and white, are totally gone. Really? Okay.
Okay, that's a whole nother
Well,
level.
I
That's a
don't-
whole
Yeah.
nother show, Wanda.
That's
Because
another show, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure I
that's another show.
understand.
that's another show.
Why.
Because that's what we get to. Yeah, that's something else. That's something
So
else.
Two says, what's
I'm
funny
having
to me is that
conversations.
there's an assumption that going outside of your race is your option. Relating takes two people, and what the world has told me is that we are fetishized, not loved.
Well, I mean,
Depends.
I'd like to jump in on that if you don't mind. I mean, I think there are definitely people out there that fetishize people. I mean, there's black men that fetishize different races. There's white men that fetishize women of other races. There's women. So fetishizing happens, but to assume, and I'm not saying that Tucson said this at all, so please, Tucson, understand, I'm not criticizing what you said. I don't assume that someone who falls in love with someone of another race has engaged in fetishizing. When I see my, family member, my brother and sister-in-law who've been 30 years married plus 35 years together, and they've been through each other through sicknesses and other things like that, I don't see that as a fetishization, right? I don't. But again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But, certainly I see some situations as that. A lot of Asian women will tell you in a heartbeat that they hate the fact when certain men approach them because they don't know whether they're being fetishized by some movie, Me Love You Long Time and all that kind of nonsense. So they tell you point blank, they're the Asian women are the most swipe right race on dating sites, and Asian men are right swipes, because fetishization of Asian women, so black women get that same thing. We have to be careful when we call interracial dating being based in fetishization. I do think that as a whole, as a society, yes, the white society does fetishize a whole bunch of races, including black men and black women. But on an individual level, I would hope that the black men and black women entering into those relationships, are not fetishizing white to suggest he's going to be nice to me because their white guys are nice. Well, no, we know that's not true all the time, right? And I hope that they understand who they're with and they've tested out whether that person is fetishizing them or not. Because I'll just say this last point, and I'll be quiet for a while, is when you mentioned that matchmaker, I've said this for years. I said, if there was a shortage of black women, please, black men would not be sharing black women in the way that you see is happening among our community over the last few generations, right? We would find somebody of some race to love, marry, have some kids with, right? We would not be sitting around wondering when we got to get more black women. No, we would try to get them, but then we would date whoever's available. I don't begrudge a black woman who has never said anything negative to me about black men when she's with a white man. That's her option. And more importantly, they have been right for us in general as a group of people, as black women, said if they want a family, they want to be loved, and that's who is there, an Asian man, a white man, whomever it might be. As long as I know you're being treated fairly and nicely, if you're a friend of mine, then I have no problem with it, so long as that black woman has never said anything negative about a black man. And just her being with a white man does not mean she's saying anything negative about me. In fact, most of the black women I know dating white men or married to a white man have been black women who have been down for the cause for years with black male issues, not to mention black community issues. So I just think we got to be careful not to do like we're doing to Kamala and trash her because the man she fell in love with white. Not the history of, be down for as a group. Black women have a history to be way more than we are for them.
Yes.
Okay, I like that opinion.
Definitely.
Good points. Two said, I work in marketing. Black purchase power buy exactly like the general market. Companies divested from niche black marketing years ago. They aren't doing this to sell products. So what are they doing it for? I'm going to directly ask that question. I'd like to know, Tucson, I'm asking you in particular, because I know you have the answer, have an answer to that question. What do you feel the purpose is? Hello, David Seaton. Thank you for tuning in. He's also been part of He Said, She Said. So So we're talking about here on intellectualradio.com, is multicultural diversity good for Blacks? And I think we've been going on the why they're doing it and haven't quite, I guess, I don't know if we even have the answer yet directly to the why. And I probably needed someone really sitting in on these decisions to give us the why. I know when my 25 years at the Chicago Sun-Times, when things weren't directed towards Blacks, they would tell us they don't buy. That is exactly what they tell us, and tell us we're not going to focus on that. They had no problem telling me that. I've also worked in advertising and marketing over 25 years there at the paper, and they directly would tell us they don't buy things. Now, I don't know that to be true, but when I say, well, why don't we do this? And they said they're not in our footprint. And they have a footprint of who they want to target to, and they would tell us that Black people are not part of that footprint. So, and that was that.
So again, they're selling an idea that they want us to buy into. That's all I'm saying. Because Black people out here buying things every day. We got as much purchase power as anybody else. As a matter of fact, we buy a whole bunch of crap that we probably shouldn't be buying. So we out here shopping when ain't nobody else shopping, okay? We out here spending all our money on everything under the sun and God knows what. So we know that don't make any sense. So it's got to be that you're trying to give me an image that you want me to hold within my head. That is what we call the new normal. It's no different from when they were, at one point, and it's probably, and it still is now, at one point, it was all things gay. Everybody and their mama was a lesbian. On every show, it had to be one. Okay, no matter if there was a Black show or a white show, they had to have it become a part of it. I stopped watching Whatchamajigga because they decided that he had the most scenes in the whole show.
What's Whatchamajigga?
This is I'm trying to get.
Go ahead. The
show with Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson, and they was the
Empire.
I had stopped watching Empire, okay, because Jamal. He'd get more booty than anybody else on the show. Excuse my language. I'm sorry, but it was ridiculous. Okay. And when you think about the fact that you have hot Terrence Howard, everybody named Mama want to see a sex scene with Terrence Howard. I don't care who it is, as long as it's a woman. Okay. As hot as Taraji P. Henson is, it took how long to get her to have a scene? And it still wasn't all that. But Jamal, but wait a minute, and check this out. Hakeem, he's supposed to be the player of the whole family. How Jamal get more booty than him? Don't make no sense, right? Right. But that's because you want me to buy into now that lesbianism and homosexuality is supposed to be the new thing. The LGBTQ got more rights than me, and I'm Black. Okay. So we push this agenda like, oh, okay, well, being gay is the most hated thing to be, and they got the biggest struggle, and then they turn around and compare their struggle to being Black. Sit down, shut up, because that's not the same thing. So it's, again, you're trying to sell me an image that you want me to now consider normal. This is the new normal. LGBTQ, that's normal now. These interracial couples, normal now. It's normal for these men, for Black men, not to stand up and be the leaders in their homes. That's normal now. That's what you want to try to tell me. That's what you want me to believe. Because you as a white man, you want me to date a white. Well, you as a white man, you want me to date a white man, because if I date a white man, then I can't procreate with my Black man. That's what you really want.
So, and as we talked about, what is the purpose that they're going for? That definitely could be one of them. Toussaint says the purpose, and I specifically said this, asked Toussaint to answer this question. The purpose is political. We were brought here as a service class. We have exceeded our value, but nobody can out-birthright a sister, so the intrinsic value that Black males threaten. So the intrinsic value that Black man threatens. So, and then John says, one of the worries of white America we've not paid much attention to in Black communities is the concern regarding the browning of America. The interest in Black women certainly makes sense, because if they have a fear of the Black men, how do you counter them unless you reach and promote the Black woman so as to push the wedge a bit deeper? We could see it in this last elections where many Black men were said to be disenchanted with Democrats and mostly voting for Trump. They weren't, but those interested in driving that wedge took up that mantra. Most Black men remain interested in a Black family and staying engaged with Black women.
I don't know where that comes from. I mean, nobody, even Trump's lying self, never said that the majority of Black men are voting for Trump. We literally called out and eviscerated all of the notable Black men who stood up for Trump, a handful of them that did. What is undeniable, however, is the turnout and support among Black women. And I just have an issue with Black men being so bothered by Black women being given their due. I just have an issue with that. I think we got to find a way to talk about being left out without trying to say that the white man is giving Black women their due to hurt us, when the fact is Black women have just been showing up and demanding their due, and they're getting their due. We should be celebrating that. That's a separate issue from what Garrick brought up. He's talking about the family not being represented on Madison Avenue. But I just feel like comments like the one you just read, when they talk about, they're bigging up Black women so that they could tear down Black men. It's like, no, the sisters aren't tearing us down. The sisters are getting their due because they're stepping in, they're stepping up, and they're out here pushing forward and running things. They're not the most educated cohort of our society by accident. It's because they worked their behinds off to get there.
Through a lot of headwinds. In fact, it's the opposite of by accident. It's despite a lot of societal pressures to make that not true. And despite all that, they've succeeded and excelled. One thing I thought about as I'm listening, Madison Avenue is risk averse. So anything that you're seeing in an ad, that's not a leading indicator of where society is going. It's a lagging indicator of where Madison Avenue has decided that society already is. And they're doing so for very specific reasons that, again, I love the conversation, but I'm still kind of toying around in my mind with why is this happening? What it makes me think of is we've all seen What's Love Got to Do with It. And Phil Spector says, listen, Tina, I want you to work on this project. And Ike immediately says, you hear that? Phil Spector want to make a song with Ike and Tina. He said, no, I want to make a song with Tina.
Yes.
And Madison Avenue is doing that now resoundingly. All of a sudden, the calculus is now, you know what? It's almost like, Ernest, you can relate to this. I was on a triple homicide jury years ago. And the jury selection, if you're sitting there and you've got a bunch of prosecutors looking at you, whispering and kind of pointing, and they're like, they're sizing you up like every way imaginable. And then you got a bunch of defense attorneys and they're looking at you and this and the other. And then, you're number 35 and they say, okay, number 33, go home. Thanks. Number 34, go home. Thanks. You're 35. They're like, nope, 35, have a seat. 36, go home. Thanks. When they choose you, you're like, okay, why did that happen? What box do I fit into? And why in this very utilitarian way am I now exactly what somebody wants for this particular reason? And it's not by accident.
So could part of it be, if we, as Anna mentioned, that they are marketing towards our desire to be desirable, that if Madison Avenue goes where they think we want to go, they think that we want, they're trying to give us what they think we want, then that's their goal in this, is to say, well, Black women, now I don't have the numbers, Garrick, so don't quote me on this one.
17.2%. Stanford University study 2019.
I'm not quoting any exact numbers, but I've read somewhere that women do purchase more but and I'm gonna go Google that before I say this. But I've read that women. So if you go that Black women now have the money, are doing the spending, then you're trying to make this whole image be more desirable to them. And I think we stated this earlier in the
That's got to be
conversation.
some of it, at least.
At the end of the day, I don't care what's on the commercial, because I get you talking to me. I don't think I pay attention to that much. I buy what I want to buy, period, and it doesn't matter what's on the commercial to me. So I'm not even looking at the commercials that hard, and I think that's probably why Wanda don't know what you was talking about either. Like, I think that's why you didn't know what commercials he was talking about either, because I don't just look at the commercials to know what I'm going to buy. I already decided what I was going to buy before I ever seen the commercial. So it really doesn't matter to me. So I think, but I do believe that once you think about what the messages that they're giving to you, because I pay more attention to the messages that they send in actual programming, because I think that characters are built. I think situations are built based on the message that they want you to now have, or the image that they want you to now see. And I think that producers, I think that playwrights, I think that writers are oftentimes pressured about what they're supposed to have on their show. When I look at Eva DuVernay and I watch her with her writing for good Lord, I can't get the names. I can't bring these are my shows. Why I don't know these names? But anyway, I watched the show.
Sugar?
Yes, Queen Sugar. Yes, thank you.
What did you say
Queen
that got
Sugar.
him to say that?
Eva DuVernay.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Yes.
you're good, Ernest.
Yes, he is. Queen Sugar. So when I watched Queen Sugar and I watched how she portrayed the pieces on how she really tackled the whole interracial dating, the lesbianism, and those types of things, she did more with the lesbian piece than she ever did with the man piece, the man being gay at all. You know, they tried it. She hinted at it. I mean, look, I think her one little scene out the whole season, 2 or 3 seasons, she did one scene, and I think that scene lasted all of 3 seconds. And this dude wasn't even dressed in drag. He was just talking about the fact that he did dress in drag, and he was a trans. That's it. It was like 2 minutes. If you blinked, you missed it. Okay, because she wasn't here for it. But I think that she was still pressured to bring some level or speak to that in some way. Even with the little boy, they tried to make like he was gonna be born gay. He was born gay because he had a little doll, a girl doll. Well, no, honey, I had the doll because she reminded me of my pretty mama. Get it? But get into it. But it was a question. It was a question. So I think that there was a pressure to somehow deal with it, to somehow create some type of image for it. You have to address it. She just played the game a little bit differently. But there are some other shows out here that have submitted fully to that whole prospect. And I think they're doing it with interracial couples as well. And it's all over Hallmark. I'm a Hallmark nut. I'm an Ion nut. I'm a all of them. So it's all over everything now. So I think that the marketing, it's the positioning of images in our minds, and it's all through programming, because hey, we watch TV, and that's how people figure out who they want to be and what they think they want to be, by watching all these images tell me, I think I like that. Oh, I think I like that. Oh, that's cute. I like my hair like that. It is the same way with what we think and how we feel and how we're going to walk through life. That's how we create the images in our head. That's how we create the thought process that we have. We have to be mindful, and we have to be careful about how we're going to let it affect us.
And marketing, though, piggybacks off of that. They know you're watching that show right now.
Absolutely.
So now, what do I feed her to get her to? They want to manipulate us. So they spend a lot of time looking at what we're doing, what we're watching, and what we're doing, so they can manipulate how we think.
Absolutely.
And so then the marketing is a continuation of what commercials are put on during certain shows all intentional.
Absolutely. Look, they're not just playing around. This is not a game. It's not just off. None of this is not by chance. None of it is by chance. It's the point.
So as Tu said, it's political. You're right. It's not about accident. Neither Black women's success nor Black men's failures. None of it is by accident. I think we can all say we agree on. John says it's never been accidental. It's always been planned. Tu says together our money, rather male or female, as Black folk, don't matter to the American lexicon. So you feel that it's not about getting our dollars at all, whether Black or white. Too, you're saying whether Black or white, the marketing is not actually geared towards it has nothing to do with wanting us to buy NyQuil, go to Geico, or go that it's all a political thing.
I kind of agree because I don't think that getting us to buy Geico or getting us to buy NyQuil is the major point. I don't think it's I think that's the sub point.
I don't know. I mean, you have to.
Is first.
Somebody's gonna lose their job at NyQuil and Geico if they're not targeting that spend, and they got to prove that it's making a difference. And so here, I just think that white society has reluctantly let us in the door, reluctantly. And now that we are beating a big enough drum, and we've had a global insight, because I'm seeing this all over the place in the corporate world, where they're trying their best to respond to that in some cases, without doing anything, right? So what skin is it off their nose in 2021 to put a black woman with a white guy? Whereas they might say, oh, there's a whole group of 70 million people that voted for Trump that might hate it because they had an outcry about that with a black man and a white woman in the Cheerios commercial years back with an interracial child. They might lose their minds, but just like with Nike and Colin Kaepernick, there's many more people who either love it or don't care, and they're going to still buy. And so those people who hate it are still a minority, even if they're a big minority, thanks to Trump and others generating them. They're just fitting us in. They're trying to give piecemeal. There's a black woman on the trial team. There's a black woman in HR. Oh yeah, look, there's a black person sitting in the C-suite now, on the board now. Yes, great. And they think they've solved the problem by putting someone in place. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't people who have a deeper nefarious intent on what they're doing. But I just think that they're just sliding us in a way that they feel is the most comfortable. The focus groups are telling them, you can't keep putting black men with white women because these black women are going to be mad, and they decide to go the other way. And I don't know that it's that simple all the time, but I also don't know that it's that complicated all the time either. I think it's some of both. And what Garrett's point is, well, how come y'all haven't reached the point yet, NyQuil, Allstate, et cetera, that you can sell stuff? They're going to buy your stuff anyway. You can sell to them with a black family. Try that. Try it and give us a 13%, 15% of our space, which matches our population, in your commercials, and you can sell just as much insurance. Watch, do it, try it. And they just say, no, we can't do that. And that's the problem. We got to push hard against that, because I just think they're just sliding someone in to say, look at the color. We added color. See, we're responding to the George Floyd issues and whatever.
Right.
And that's how the corporate world, that's how most of white society in general defines what's racist and what's not racist. And that's why every racist in every movie is some ham-fisted, tobacco chewing, spitting Southerner, when we know good and well that that's not the picture of a racist. The picture of a racist is their uncle who they love so much.
I also think if we flip this around on the other end, if they're also trying to influence white America, they have to just have one of us. I mean, like you said, the fulfilling of a number on our end, so we feel okay with it.
Yes.
That we've included you, and then also not too blackified it that they don't relate. They won't. If they see too much of us, then they're not going to buy it. Yes. So they're not going to see a black family and even pay attention to the ad with the black family to anything that's on it. I don't think
even in corporate America. I mean, I'm in HR. So, and you put me, a black woman, in HR management, and I really, really kind of advise a management team of predominantly white men. Do they really, really want to hear what I have to say? Not just necessarily. They don't really want to have to take an order from a black chick, but you gonna have to, because that's my role and that's what I do. However, I find that it's really interesting how they put us in these positions because we qualify and we have the goods. However, they don't give us the respect that we're due. They don't give us the autonomy that we need. We don't have the authority to make decisions in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying that there are some cases where Black women are not able are not in those power positions, but there are times when you put us in those positions just because, oh, well, we're just going to add somebody Black to the team, but she don't have no real say so. She can't really make any affect any change. And good Lord, if she is a recruiter and bringing in too many Black people, it's a problem. It's a problem. So I think that it's really hard to always know and understand who you are and your place relative to what you see, because what you see on TV versus what you experience in life is two different things. You can put them on TV all day long. Tyler Perry put them on TV all day long. She's a this and everybody's successful. They running their own this and that. But hey, get out here for real. It's not the same. It ain't as easy as they making it look like it was.
I agree with that. So we're talking about, is multicultural diversity good for Blacks, on IntellectualRadio.com. And thank you, everybody who's been chiming in. I so appreciate all my virtual co-hosts as well as the co-hosts here in the studio today, and also the one on the phone. Thank you, Ernest. So we are, as we discuss this, what you just said, Toria, made me think of my days in the workplace in the 25 years at the paper. I worked with 2 Black men in all 25 years. And so in all that time, you can't tell me that someone, and when they did work, they were portrayed as, if they called out lazy, as everything that could be said negatively about them, and they didn't work that long. And that's in all those years. So I don't see I shouldn't say this, but that isn't a desirable, has been portrayed, or they have this image, and it goes way far back, I'm sure, all the way to slavery, of how they've decided to portray Black men. But does that then pour into what's happening now at all? When we talk about media, is that any
I think
portion
it's an extension of that to me.
An extension?
I think it's an extension. I think we keep going in. I think we stay in those same veins because we stay in those things that are familiar.
I think that to have me or someone like me in an otherwise innocuous setting is a statement. And it's a statement that the risk averse don't want to make. NyQuil and the others, they do want to sell goods. That's where it starts. It's commercialism. Now, I can tell you, this ad isn't going to make me necessarily buy NyQuil, but I also own Procter & Gamble stock. And I don't want NyQuil running an ad if it's not going to make my share value as a shareholder go up. So I'm with you all the way on the commercialism. But then it gets to, okay, so why is there a conscious decision, or is there, that to have this particular person represented either goes against our goal of profit and return on investment, or on the other hand, to have this person here is a statement that runs counter to the message that we want to offer our target demographic, which is, I see myself in you. To have somebody like me is not going to assuage your fragility if you have fragility in your toolkit. And Madison Avenue would just as soon say, okay, well, then we don't want that. We don't want you represented because we don't want to have to navigate fragility in the buyer. We want to sell to the buyer. So we just
want them to feel good. They want to feel good. And
exactly.
And if that
it's just safe.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's safe.
So I want us to talk about what John mentions here, and it's also something Toussaint has adamantly said when we talk about political. So he says, y'all can poo-poo it all you want, but I see it on the regular being plugged into the political side of this conversation. It's selective positioning of the Black woman in a spot as heading the family so as to widen what they think is a wedge. The one demographic that least wants to associate with white America is Black women. Wait, the one demographic that least wants to associate with white America is Black women. Much of the promotion we're seeing is to disabuse us of what of that by showing us more and more ads of Black women and white men.
Mm. That's dip. Oh, okay. It's a couple of pieces in here.
I see what he's saying, but I don't know that I
Explain it
agree.
for me, Ernest. A little. I mean, I read it, but I'm still trying to, or give me another angle of what he's saying, so I can.
Here's a quick angle of what I heard, and Tucson obviously can clarify if I miss it here, but you know, it kind of goes. He starts at the point kind of where I was earlier, which is Black women, more so than even Black men, have been the least likely to really want to connect with the other, you know, with, let's call the white race on an intimate and familial level, where maybe even though the numbers are probably still low for the percentage of Black men who are venturing out when compared to Black women, not much higher, but they're definitely higher. And Black women have kind of been the protector of a lot of our identity as Black people. But now they're appealing to those Black women because they were the ones who were least likely to be duped, if you will, by this idea that we could be acceptable to white people. Because Black women are the ones who, you know, have held down the fort. I don't know if that's what he's saying specifically, but that's one angle you can take. And now you're seeing them try to curry favor with Black women to get Black women to say, see, look, they're being good to us, nice to us, they like us, and then leave, kind of pull away from us and then look back at us and say, well, see, why didn't you do like I did and come along or whatever? I don't know if that's the exact wording he would use, but that's the takeaway that I had. And I mean, I'm not under any illusion that the marketing and political world are not currying the favor of Black women. They definitely are, and frankly should be and should have been for a long time. I don't want them to stop doing that. I want them to continue doing that. I just think, as Garrick is saying, there's layers to the exclusion of Black people, and it's not just including one of us, a man or a woman, in a commercial. It's including our experience, our culture, our families, our businesses, our ideas, and not just our music, but our musicians as well, as Toria was saying earlier. So, but I do think he's onto something where at least the courting of Black women, sure, I think their marketing studies are showing them that, you know, women, generally speaking, women, even in house buying, women make the decisions for the families, by and large, not 99%, but definitely well over 50, white, Black, Asian, whomever. Because, you know we're not buying that couch if our wife doesn't like it. I mean, you got to kidding. The wife will buy it, right? So my point is, that's who marketing has always been towards. Other than electronics and beer and certain types of things, it's been towards women. And when they start appealing to the Black community, they're going to be appealing more to women because that's who they market to more than anything. I'm not saying that the political thing isn't there. I don't know how deep it is or isn't there, but I do know that there is a marketing strategy. And I do know that if you put too many Black men with white women, and that's your solution for inclusion versus white women with Black men, Black women with white men, then the Black women have a justifiable frustration and anger about seeing that imagery because they see it, right or wrong, they see it among our Black celebrities way too often and our Black athletes way too often, and they're bothered by that. So if they're going to pick one, they're going to pick the other, which is the Black woman being included with the white man, because they're going to have two problems. Then they're going to have the Black men upset, then they're going to have the Black women upset at them as well for portraying these Black men with white women as if Black women aren't desirable enough to be with a good Black man. Imagine if Randall on This Is Us happened to marry, who was raised by a white family, happened to marry a white woman instead of a Black woman that went to Howard, right? I mean, imagine how many Black women would hate that show if Randall's wife was this fine Black woman.
I agree with
you
that.
got a point.
You definitely have a point. And I see where they're going with this as well. When we ask, is multicultural diversity good for Blacks? if we're going to answer that question, is it good for us? It wouldn't be if we walk away feeling like one that I don't like. I think you mentioned this too, Ernest, that you being with someone of an opposite race is fine. Is when you now have a negative thing to say about your own that we tend to have some problem. We have a problem with it. I only date white men because black men don't have their stuff together, then that's when we're gonna have an issue with that, and vice versa. And so that diversity isn't good if we walk away with it thinking that they are reinforcing my belief in any sort of way, maybe. And then when they mention political, if it's all a bigger scheme to increase us, to reinforce us feeling that way, that to have a family, the black man isn't the one who wants to have a family, then would it be good for us? Is it then, am I making any sense? Is it true then that it's not good for us because it's reinforcing negative beliefs for some?
Oh, you looking at me? I think, you know what? I think I agree. I think it's good. I think it's good if we can all respect the
choices other people make.
Others. If it is, I think it's I think it's only bad if the only thing that we can see in it is how it diminishes one or other of the black man or the black woman. If that's all we can see is how it diminishes us and how it diminishes the thought process of the black family. If that's the only way that we're going to see it, then yes, it's not good for us. If we can see it through a different lens that says, you know, it's all about knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and finding what you want, what you need in whoever you find that in. And whether the image on the TV told me, has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with who I connect with and who I resonate with and who I am able to find love with. That is the end. If that's not what we're thinking of, then we got a problem.
So, Garrett, can you walk away from watching these commercials thinking that they're not trying to say anything against you don't feel that way though when you watch them?
I don't feel that way. I am more of the belief of, what are you after? If I live on a piece of property and all of a sudden 3 different developers call me in 3 days and offer me an exorbitant amount of money, they suddenly have this newfound interest in that which hitherto they've not been that interested in. I would then ask myself, what do you want? What's here? Like, right. What is it about this now?
I'm gold. Is there oil underneath my
property? Yeah, I got to go do some research. Let me figure out what is so great about this piece of property that you want so bad.
And that's where I'm coming from, which is why is the face of commercially viable America, why does it now have a formula? Because again, hitherto, you could have just as soon left both of us outside of this commercial, as has always been the case for so long. Or you could make the commercial a black commercial and bring out the gospel choir and the hip hop band and all of that.
Because that's all they did for us.
But why is it now that the leading edge of what's acceptable, aspirational America, and this family that's using their phone to click a mortgage and, they're moving into the $7 million house. So you watch these HGTV shows, yes, and it's like, oh, I run a nonprofit and, I work part-time. So what's your budget? Oh, it's $3 million.
You'd be like, huh?
well, now there's a black woman in that paradigm. And I'm kind of like,
because she's married to him.
I'm like, what's the there in all of it? It's not a referendum on how I feel about it. I don't feel any way, about the coupling.
You're just thinking,
but
why?
The message? What's the message that you're trying
why
to
are they doing this?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think there's a dollar in it, obviously. I think it begins and ends there. I think that Madison Avenue has figured this out, but I just want to hear the more utilitarian without poo-pooing or without, soft pedaling it. I want to hear the raw and dirty as to, here's the thing. Madison Avenue has figured out that to the tipping point of 51%, it makes sense for us to show this couple because it does this, it does that, and it equals dollars and cents. And that's why you're going to see it again and again and again.
Because it checks off boxes.
Yeah.
We've now been inclusive. We've now shown, so now they get to say, they get to tout their brand as being inclusive and for families, politically correct.
Yes.
So could it be that simple, that is checking off the boxes of what we need to check off to be our brand to be considered a certain way?
They're not going for woke. But in the wake of woke, we're doing this, which is bring her in here.
That is perfect. That is a perfect
Black
way to
lives
say that.
do matter. Here she is.
That is a perfect way to say that it's not being woke. It's in the wake of being woke. Yes, sir.
Right. Yes.
There it is.
Excellent. I love that. Yeah, I would just say this. I think that it is definitely what both Toria and Garrick were just saying. They're in the wake of being woke, and their idea is inclusion. And so what Madison Avenue has reached, which I think a large portion of white America has decided, is that looking not racist means look at my friend, look at my black, look at this interracial couple is the epitome, because that's really where they lost their mind. Years, generations ago, the epitome of not being racist is, I married a black woman, I married a black man. What are you talking about, right? It's that sort of thing. And look, we love mosaic, this couple, this interracial couple. And what Garrick is saying is, rather than have an interracial couple as the only indicator of inclusion, why not have a neighborhood with a couple of black families as neighbors?
Right, because that's what's in the neighborhood. Let's be clear. It's black families, it's also interracial families, and it's also white families all in one neighborhood together. So why not show that? Why not show that? And that's what they're not trying to show. Well,
and my friends would tell you, I got friends of a variety of races. Most of my friends are black, but of a variety of races. And some of my Asian friends will be like, they put an Asian person in that commercial.
Right. They feel the same way.
Yes, they underrepresented too.
Right. Yo, my friend was like, "There's a Filipino in the commercial." Yo,
yes, honey, we didn't came up.
So they think they probably see it as a great thing for us because we're in, but then we're looking at it and going, "Nah, y'all said a lot of stuff about us, and some of what you're showing us is triggering some of the other stuff you said about us. You not only said the black woman wasn't desirable enough or deserved to be with a white man, and the black man don't deserve to be with a white woman. You said that, but you also said we were no good at raising our own families. We were bad husbands and bad fathers and this and that. And so why don't you show us all the other positive imagery that counteracts all the other negative stuff you've been saying for years? Don't just stop at this white man can love this black woman. Thank God there's some that do, and we love it. But go further. How about their next door neighbor be a black family? How about a Hispanic family across the street? How about that, right? How about we go further and, instead of just having, the majority be interracial couples, how about you have some representative percentage when you have a black person put a black family together in the same percentage of the time that we represent that black families are represented versus interracial families. So if you do 3 commercials with an interracial couple, then do another 5 or 6 with a black family, because that's the percentage difference potentially, or even better, as to where we're not in an interracial couple. But it's an easy plug-in for them. They can say, I'm not racist. What are you talking about? We put a black and white couple together. Yes. We're not racist. We've come into the George Floyd era. They're in the wake of being woke. I love that.
I love that. And let me tell you this. Let me just say this too, Ernest, to your point. I like when you said, oh, we can show the world. I let them in. I let the black woman in. No. You let her in, but did you really let her in though? Because that's the real question. Did you let her in because she's a token? Or did you let her in because you really, really value who she is and what she brings to the table? That's the real question.
I was thinking that too.
Come on now. Let's
my
talk
skepticism
about that.
Is
it's real.
It's not about, these are beautiful women in these commercials, but is it about their beauty or is it about their there-ness? You're here.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're there. Because and I'm with you when you talk about racism, because I think of that white people always try to act like, oh, I'm not racist. I have black kids. I have black friends. I have this. But this will be the same person at work that you all get into the office together. I'm a manager and you're a manager, and you will ask me to get you a cup of coffee. Can you make the coffee today? Excuse you? I'll make
Right.
coffee. I'm the HR manager here. What HR manager you know make coffee? Get the receptionist to
Right.
make the coffee. But you're not gonna ask the receptionist to make the coffee. You know why? Because the receptionist is white. And why, pray tell, is your receptionist white? Because she's the first face that the people see when they come in the door. So she has to be
Mhm.
white.
In some
Yep.
ways, in 2020,
I'm just saying.
it indemnifies the brand. Okay,
Right.
I want to continue to sell Buicks, and I see right now that corporate America is catching a lot of heat. They're catching holy hell from folks that are looking for demanding respect, looking for representation, looking for a voice to where there has only been consent or there's been silence. And you know what we got to do? We got to get out in front of this Buick. Go get the black wife. All right.
Yes.
So now, you know what? We can't be, and there's a spectrum before you get to full blown racism. There's bias, there's prejudice. There are things that lead up to that. Well, we feel like we're not that. We're not, dragging folks behind pickup trucks or anything. But on the other hand, we need to indemnify ourselves so that we can't be accused of being prejudicial or biased, even though we can be all these things.
Because Black Lives Matter.
So go get that woman. And, we focus tested her. And yeah, everybody knows Sabrina from, accounts payable or, the legal team. She's general counsel at the firm. Let's bring Sabrina out. And now, let's show her family life.
She can get some FaceTime
And
today.
she can sell some Buicks.
Yes, because she can get some FaceTime today. Any other time, I'm not thinking about Sabrina back there crunching all the numbers and doing all the real work and making us look good. I don't care. But now today, let's bring Sabrina out in front.
Yeah, but you don't bring out Jamal. That's a whole other commercial.
That's a whole nother commercial. Sure is.
That's for the basketball game.
Yes.
That's when we can bring out Jamal. Jamal
When
can
it's
come out on the basketball.
Super Bowl or
the basketball.
Jamal's not getting the rocket mortgage on his phone.
No, he's not.
Right.
So,
Right.
guys, if knowing what we know and what would you guys suggest we do differently? Is there anything we should do or say or think as we watch what is happening and what media is trying to feed us? Is there anything that you, Garrick, with children, or is there anything as your children watch this kind of imaging? Is there something that you try to tell them? Is there something you tell yourself, or is there something we should take away from these messages? Now that we know what they're doing, now that we're aware, do we try to make others aware, or what should we do?
Only thing I can say, and I don't know that it's the answer, but my approach is always to remain vigilant, and certainly for young folks, because all messaging at some level has an element of manipulation about it, and that doesn't mean that it's nefarious or insidious or poorly intentioned. Yet at the same time, the unintended result could be all those things, that you are being cast as an other, someone who doesn't belong. To speak to you is to speak to the other, and the folks that are inside the circle, you see them. And I would, I've got two boys and a young woman, so I'm seeing it from both perspectives of gender, but always ask yourself, what's the message to me? Is it a message that I accept? It's not about what you want to say to me. It's about whether or not I accept this and whether or not I internalize this.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, be able to stand outside of that and say, you know what? I'm as acceptable as anybody else on here, and I buy Buicks and this and any other. Why can't I be seen buying said Buick? You wouldn't kick me off the lot if I showed up pre-qualified or with cash.
Yes.
So you want to sell me Buicks? Why can't I be on a commercial that doesn't have drum beats and a step team, and just sell me a Buick? How about that?
So I think being at the table too makes a difference. Being at the table of where these decisions are made, so we can keep saying whether they poo-poo our whole idea when they make the storyboard to say, why don't you include two blacks? That we're hopefully we can be on Madison Avenue helping make these decisions and speaking up for ourselves and our people can make a difference.
I think the other thing that we have to make sure that we are doing is that we have to just be aware. I mean, before now, I hadn't even paid attention to a commercial. just on that level to think about it that way. Because again, I'm buying what I want to buy anyway. But I think that to be aware is probably the first key to realize that it exists, because we don't always see it. It's so subtle. They sneak it in real quick. I've been watching those same commercials for a little while, and never occurred to me that was happening. So I think the first thing we need to be aware
and make everyone aware,
and then make others aware. And we also need to decide if we're going to buy in or not. We need to look, like he said, let's look at what the message is, and then let's decide if I want to buy into that. And if I don't want to buy into that, let's express that I don't want to buy into that, and let's tell others, hey, let's consider that. Is that what you want to buy into?
I agree. I think you bring up a good point. To be aware is so important, and also to if we can help make others aware and they can make their own decisions once they're aware is important. And that when we talk about being aware, also preparing our young people to not buy into it, because you're not, like you said, you're not impressionable. You're going to buy what you want to buy, but some people are impressionable.
And
they really are.
And they're not all children that are impressionable. They're not all children. Some adults are very impressionable.
Right.
You can turn me off from your brand based on how you approach me, because I don't want to be handled and manipulated through code speak and so on. And okay, now you know what? I don't want that Buick anymore.
But you don't want to watch a commercial at all. What you don't want to do. You don't want to watch not one commercial in your whole entire life. You don't want to watch one. Okay, because they all got a message that they're trying to send you.
But I think that's the only way we'll make a difference with them is with our dollars. I mean, if they're doing this if we collectively then make decisions not to buy from people that actually do these kind of things, it would make a difference.
That is a whole nother show, Wanda, because we know that when it comes to, and I've always said this, when it comes to our collective dollar, the black dollar, we don't collectively decide how we're going to spend it. Everybody does what they want to do. So we're not in agreement on what the collective dollar should be spent on. And so but that's a whole nother show.
Is a whole nother show, but it definitely is the next phase of controlling how we could control what they present us. We could control if we actually did that. We'd have more control over it.
We don't do none of that because we don't know. We still have not yet mastered how to stand together.
And that's by design as well, though, in my opinion. I mean, they have kind of done that on purpose. I think Toussaint mentioned because we would be very powerful if we actually did that. So it does benefit them to kind of keep us separated in some degree, because then we don't band together.
I agree.
I guess that kind of goes with what John was saying too, when we talk about the political end. I think that's what they mean. So I'm going to thank all the people on Facebook. Thank you, John, who and he said we must have a plan as functional demographic. He says, sadly, Black people today really have never come together for a protected long-term plan as to how to prosecute our desire for inclusion. We need to come together, elect a leader to spearhead an agreed upon ideology about Black America. And
yes,
I guess we've been trying that for a while, Martin Luther King. So hopefully one day we'll get there. I do think that's absolutely should be our goal, continuous goal. Thank you, Toussaint. Thank you, John. Thank you, Anna Nicole. Thank you. Who else? Oh, help me with names. Who else have we included in Penny or early on who've been adding in, being our virtual co-host. Thank you, David Seaton, for watching. Thank you, Anna Nicole. Thank you, Gary Lynn Scott. Thank you very much for tuning in. Is there anyone else that I need to thank you, James Smith? I know you were definitely chiming in early on.
Tony James.
Thank you. Anyone else you see, Toria? That
Rochelle.
Lady Rochelle. Check out Warriors Talk Mondays at 6 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. Everybody. Okay, so thank you guys. I so appreciate it. I want you guys to give a moment and shout out anything you have going on. Ernest, I'll start with you. Got anything you want to shout out what you're doing?
I'm not really doing much. I'm hoping this year I'll do something. But no, I'll probably be back on your show at some point.
Yay! That's a given. Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Ernest.
yes.
It was a
yes.
pleasure.
That's what you'll be doing.
So Hoyas, baby.
I appreciate that. I've
Hoyas.
been hanging out with your little brother once we can see each other face to face since I'm back in DC.
When they release us back out into the world to meet
Yes.
and greet.
Some more shenanigans.
What do you have going on, GD?
Hey man, all my money's going to Northwestern University. You want to talk about wanting my money and not want me? They send us the tuition bill and then they tell us to drop the kids off in 30 minutes and leave. Get out.
I love it.
All right, so that's a fitting into this topic. Give us your money.
We don't want
Yeah.
you on this
Yeah.
campus, but we want the money, and that's why we're going to send it back. We said be scared of coronavirus, but not anymore because right now we need the money. So drop her off and leave quickly.
Get going. Hurry
to
up.
then take classes online, but in university housing. Okay.
She's been taking classes, started her freshman year at home in Maryland, but now could you drop her off on campus so I can get this housing money?
Yeah, we gotta get the
and
housing.
continue
money,
online.
Hurry up. Hurry up.
Drop them all off, and we'll continue to do online distance learning. So
Are they really doing online distance learning on campus now?
Yeah,
Stop it.
yeah.
What was the point? She was at home doing online learning.
That's a whole other show about the industry that is the American college and
She
university
needs-
system.
She needs to be able to interact with her people outside. And
Well, here's the thing. In 30 seconds, you can't continue the value proposition of having a campus experience and charge
not be
full
on campus.
tuition for kids who never set foot on campus that
absolutely.
academic year.
They got to figure that out.
So it's self-serving in that you got to bring them here. Now, whether or not they ever actually go to a lecture hall is beside the point. But now they're here, and it doesn't undercut that whole notion that the brick and mortar, liberal arts education has an intrinsic value when you've got everything's going online now. So that's
She can sit outside in the
get it.
yard.
So it is that I can't charge you for an experience you absolutely are not getting. So drop you off and put you in a room on the campus, and now I can charge you for
Yeah,
it. So
Marketing, and there you have it.
There you go.
boy. And then tell us about your show, Toria.
Toria Renee, I am with Empowering Moments with Coach T. I am the Coach T. So I am Empowering Moments with Coach T right here on IntellectualRadio.com every third Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So check me out. My show is coming up in the next couple of weeks on the 17th. Yay,
All
yay,
right.
yay.
I'll be
Woo,
there.
woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
Coach T.
And I'm going to be back here. I'm not Tuesday. Why was Tuesday coming out of my
I don't know,
mouth?
because it's Sunday Fun Day.
It's Sunday Fun Day, baby.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be here next Sunday.
Lord
I don't know why
help us, she
Tuesday
don't
wants
like
to keep
this
coming out of
word.
my mouth. Maybe I need another show on Tuesdays. Sunday Fun Day next week at 2 p.m. Maybe that's where my mind is going. 2 p.m. I'll be here on IntellectualRadio.com. I'll see you next week here on the station, IntellectualRadio.com, 2 p.m. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
On IntellectualRadio.com.
Oh,